Getting ready for bed at a regular time is one of the most important habits you can learn.
Who you gonna call?
Ghostbusters! Jason was my son, and today is his birthday.
Oh, Lori, scared another one away.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Sorry, Jack. Chucky's back.
We are counselors at Hackett's Quarry Summer Camp. There is a swarm of bears.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
No! Glenn! Somebody help me, please!
Most people are so ungrateful to be alive, but not you.
It's showtime.
Hello, and welcome back to another fabulous and wonderful episode of the Screen Stream. Now we are on episode 34, and this one, I'm not quite sure how I feel about this one. Like, when I first watched it, I was enamored with it. I enjoyed it for what it was. But this second watch through of it, I don't know really how to feel about this. But we're talking about The Evil Dead Rises. We're continuing on with our Summer Horror Fest. And this one's a good pick for Summer Horror Fest. I'm not gonna lie. It feels like a very summeristic movie, especially in the start of the movie. And just the fact that the kids really don't go to school, even make mentions of the school, so it feels like summer for sure. But also I added this one because of the fact that, you know, I recently just watched it, and I did want to talk about it. Even though it came out, I think, on April 21st, if I look at the poster right here. And it came back out in April, and I was able to watch it a couple of weeks ago. I want to say on, oh God. I know I have it on Amazon, but I'm like, partnered up with somebody that I paid like Amazon plus somebody else for a subscription. I don't know if it's HBO Max or who it is, but watched it, finally got to sit down and enjoy it. And like I said, the first time I watched it, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun movie, very gory, very silly. You brought in a lot of that campiness that I enjoyed a lot from the other movies. And especially with some of the slapstick that ended up happening. Unfortunately, it's not a lot of it, but there's just enough of it where you could tell, hey, they took this inspiration from Evil Dead 2 or Evil Dead 3. And that's kind of where I have the problem with it. The more I researched into this movie and the more I paid more close attention to a lot of the choices made in this movie, it's not even just an Easter egg thing. It's like the entire movie is part of the script from 2, part of the script from 1, part of the script from 2013. They melded it all together. I get it's like a love letter to the Evil Dead franchise, but there's just a lot of unnecessary references. I'm not gonna lie, like straight up, one of the references in this movie is of course the iconic Oldsmobile, right? Unfortunately, in this movie, they couldn't put the Oldsmobile in. I don't know why they didn't put an Oldsmobile in. There's an entire parking lot where they could have just slid it in somewhere, but they didn't. So their idea of nodding to the Oldsmobile is the chainsaw that oh God, what's the name of the character? Mr. Fonda. His business owns like a tree cutting down service or whatever, and he's got a picture of a chainsaw on the side of his vehicle. And it's supposed to be yellow to represent the color of the car. So you see what I mean by unnecessary nods? Like, I appreciate it, but there's so much of it. Like, so much. Like, there was actually direct rip-off moments from case in point, the eyeball scene. That is a direct rip from the Evil Dead 2. Like, the whole cartoonish thing, the fact that the eyeball gets thrown... Well, and the first one is Ash steps on the head and the eye pops out and the girl is screaming. I think it was Bobby. She's screaming and it goes inside her mouth and then she pukes it out. And this one, Ellie eats the dude's eyeball, pukes it out, and it goes flying across the hallway. The kid's standing there and then he chokes on it and dies. So it's like, I get where they're going with it, but it's just, I just don't know. It felt like too much. It honestly felt like too much. Like you know, remember, it's one of the Scooby-Doo movies, and one of the live-action ones, I want to say, that a lot of people made a complaints about, where it's like, every time you turn around, there was just a reference to Scooby-Doo, like, oh my god, remember that, oh my god, remember that, oh, look at that, oh my god, over there, this and this, and it's just like a nod to a better movie. And I'm not saying that this is all like nods to a better movie, because don't get me wrong, this is still a good movie, it's still an enjoyable movie, and I still have a good time watching it, but I'm not enjoying it as much as I at the first time I watched it, and I didn't quite like it any better than the 2013 one. I still like the 2013 one, not as much as I like the original Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 and Evil Dead 3. Those are still my top 3 favorites. 2, 1, then 3, all in order than 2013. This one, you know, it's alright, but I don't feel like it's any better than the 2013 one. Like, it's just slightly below it, because of the fact that some of the writing as well, I see a lot of the writing coming from the 2013 one, even though it's a completely different director. I see a lot of the things they attempted to do in the 2013, which is, you know, remember last week how when I was talking about 2013 one, I discussed how they pointed out, all right, Olivia, I think that was her name. I can't remember. The RN, basically. Like, Olivia, she's the nurse. We have David, the brother. We have Eric, who's a school teacher. And they all have purposes and reasons to be here because of their selected duties, you know. Eric being a school teacher, fascinated with the book. This is why he wants to examine it, look through it, and then read it. We have Olivia. The reason why she's so adamant about not leaving that first time ago is because she's a nurse, so she can handle this. You know, stuff like that. It felt very naturally and flowy there, where here, some of it feels a little forced and a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Weird in some aspects. Like, it's basically they have this 1 to 2 traits, and then that's it. There is no character development in this movie, but hell, we didn't get character development much in Evil Dead 2013 either. I mean, we got some, especially with Mia and David, and a little bit with Eric, and, you know, learning about their friendship and backstories and all that stuff. So we got a little bit of character development there, where here, we get kind of the basic information. Just, here's Bridget, here's Cass, here's Danny, here's Ellie the mom, Beth the sister. This is the tragic situation. The apartment sucks, they gotta move, the husband done up and left, Beth is pregnant. I don't know what some of the kids are doing, because when it comes to the writing with the kids, it's a hit or miss with me. Like, at first I liked it, because I was like, oh my god, they're like a happy little family. This is so great. But then, like I said, you notice, because there's only those 1 or 2 traits, they have some off-the-wall moments where it's like one of the moments I have an issue with is when Bridget gets a knock at the door and she opens it, and these 2 goofball neighbors out there going, hey, we're going to watch all the Nightmare on Elm Street. You want to come watch? And she's like, nah, shuts the door, turns around. There's her sister standing there wearing a mop head and holding a stick with a baby doll's head. And she's like, your boyfriends are weird. And the sister just replies with, well, you're weird. And then she hits her in the stomach and runs off. They fight over the stick. The stick breaks. She runs into the brother's room, closes the door. Brother's like, hey, man, get out. And she's just like, I would, but behind me. Oh, I got it. Opens door. They tackle her and they start tickling her. Originally, you're thinking, oh, that's a cute bonding sibling moment. And then you realize they're not realistic at all. Like, straight up. I've talked to several people about this scene, and they kind of agree with me that, especially if you have siblings, you know for a fact, if your sibling gut punched you with an object, you're going to be breaking that object over their head. That, like, you can deny, say, oh no, well, I love my sibling. I love my sibling too, okay? I love my sister. But I'm going to be honest, she, at one point when she was a toddler, she threw something at me. I told her, do not throw things at people. That's gonna hurt people. Do you understand? She giggled. She threw it at me again. I looked at her and went, throw it one more time. Watch what's gonna happen. I put it down, go to walk away. She goes to throw it at me again, thinking I'm joking. I somehow, don't ask me how, Bruce Lee catch this thing. Bruce Lee spin around, and then I chunk it at her, basically popping her upside the head with it. She starts crying. I'm just like, And what did you learn? Do not throw things at people, because sometimes people will throw things back. She learned a very valuable lesson that day. She's never thrown anything since. But the point is, if my sister hit me in the gut with a baby doll's head on a stick, I'm breaking that stick over her head. No ifs, ands, or buts. And, I'll get in trouble for sure. Yeah, I'll get yelled at. But you know what? That's the price you pay for when your sibling wants to be a little asshole. So that's kind of like my problem with the writing, though, is that they relay, and you can rather obviously tell they're a happy family, but they are not realistic at some points. Especially Kat. Granted, don't get me wrong, the actors in this movie are phenomenal. They're good, especially the kid actors. I thought they did a really, really good job. It's just the writing I have a bit of an issue with, because of the fact, like I said, it doesn't feel realistic. Like, let's compare that to 2013, where they actually felt realistic. They felt like good friends in an awkward situation, trying to deal with this awkward moment of Mia trying to get rid of heroin, and we all been there, done that, and we all know this could go south if we cater to her ego and let her leave. Where in this one, it doesn't feel realistic. It just feels like and now this ain't the entire time now, and that's what's weird about the writing, that there are some moments where they feel like a realistic family, a realistic happy family, an understanding family. So like I said, I just don't know how I feel about the writing itself. Like the writing, it's like a hit or miss for me. It truly is a hit or miss for me. But the lighting's phenomenal, as always in this movie franchise. I have to give credits to not only the lighting tech, but also the cinematography. Beautiful as always, guys. 10 out of 10, do recommend you guys as a photo shoot, because the way they captured a lot of the creepy atmosphere, especially in the opening with Jessica floating above the water, and she's standing there with the sun. I want to say it's like a sunset or something going on. It's like a red background, and she's floating there with her dress, and it's supposed to be pink, but with all the blood and everything, it's just red. So it's very cool imagery. There's several shots with cool imagery on it. So I do praise the cinematography and the lighting checks. Y'all did a phenomenal job. The sound effects, they're good. They really are, but they're not as good as the 2013 one. I will admit, the 2013 one, tremendous sound effects. It made me uncomfortable, especially when she's cutting half her jaw off. That sound effect right there is just, oh my god, it was creepy as hell. But in this one, it's alright. There's some sound effects that sound really cool, especially when the mom's closing her jaw real quickly so her teeth are clattering together. Shit like that's pretty nice. The sound effects of the flies is pretty nice. But there's other sound effects that is really lackluster. When Bridget and Beth are fighting in the kitchen, when Bridget's completely possessed, and she grabs a cheese grater, I would have liked a better sound effect, or a cooler sound effect, when she scrapes that bitch across her leg. Granted, the scream's horrifying, but I didn't feel the fucking ooh kind of moment, if you understand what I'm talking about. Let's go back to 2013 again. The Olivia cutting her face, and Eric slips on the toilet, and she comes at him with the needle, and we just see her just stabbing in the face over and over again with the needle. But then when you see something very similar here, it doesn't feel as tension-filled. A case in point with the tattoo shot, where Elle jumps on top of Bridget, and she grabs the tattoo gun, and she goes to stick her in her eye, and then turns her face and drills it on the side of her face. It didn't feel as tension-filled, and I think it has to do with the sound effects. the sound effects are kind of lackluster in some scenes, and I find that very disappointing. Especially on my second watch through of this movie, I'm just like, I really wish they would have emphasized a lot of this other stuff. Like, there's some, and the sad part is there's other sound effects that sound really, really great. Like I said, with like the fly stuff, like that's also a good nod to the original Evil Dead. Cause Raimi loved using the fly sound effect for some strange reason. I think it's just to emulate the smell, the stench of death. But yeah, it's just like little things like that I think really brings the movie down. That's why I don't praise it as much as I did when I rewatched the 2013 one. This one, on the other hand, it's just it's hit or miss. It has its moments, but then it like holds back at other moments. And then when you think it should push the envelope, it really doesn't. Like, I'm gonna be honest, like with the amalgamation or the abomination, whatever you want to call it in this movie, I wanted it to be scarier. The picture looked terrifying. I'm not gonna lie, the picture looked terrifying. Seeing it in action, though, really wasn't all that terrifying. Like, and then especially with Beth, like there were some moments with Beth where I felt like, and Cassie as well, where I felt like certain lines shouldn't have been delivered when they were. Like the "come get some." I get it. It's a nod, it's a reference to the Ash in the Evil Dead franchise, especially at the Smart Shop. Fuck, I was just saying it to my roommate a few minutes ago. Smart Shop. Y'all know which shop I'm talking about. The one Ash always works at. I can't believe I forgot it, and I just mentioned it to my fucking roommate. But yeah, that whole scene right there where Ash, is like, come get some, and he does some badassery. Beth attempts to do the same line, and it's repeated a few times, by the way. The come get some, not really a few times. You see it one other time on the Henrietta pizza boxes, which I thought that was a nice reference. That really was a nice reference. It was like a blink and you miss it moment. But she's standing on top of the wood chipper thing. She's like, come get some, being all badass. And then she falls. And she straight up just fucking falls. I'm just like, why did you use such a badass line that is well known for badassery, and you blew it on a slip? Like, I didn't get it. I did not get it. But I want to say a lot of it does come from the fact that we do have a different director this time. We don't have, what was his name? Fede Alvarez. We don't have him this time around. We have Lee Cronin. I'm not too familiar with his work. I want to say the only movie I watched him direct was Hole in the Ground. I don't really remember the movie all that well, but I remember being utterly disappointed in the movie. Like, I think it was the twist. It was something about the twists and the skinwalkers, or some kind of like body switching thing or something. I don't know. I just remember watching it and just feeling disappointed. Like, it was a good movie, but it was like, I wanted more. So, other than that, I really don't know much of his work, so I couldn't really tell you if he's a good-ass director or not. Like, be straight up. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and lie and go, oh yeah, he's a great director, when I truly don't know. When I'm personally disappointed in the Hole in the Ground movie. Doesn't mean others are. But I thought what he did, director-wise, yes, again, appreciate all the nods and all the, tiebacks and callbacks. But bro, it really feels like you didn't bring anything original to the table. Like, you changed the setup. Yeah, you changed the setup. Okay, you brought the Deadites to the city. Congratulations. That is a original idea. Everything else is something already been told, and told better in some aspects. I'm sorry, not sorry. But, like, a lot of the scenes, like, the whole point of when we find the book is underground, and it's supposed to be a reference to the original book in the cabin being under the ground in the cellar, the whole eyeballs thing. It's like, I get it, I understand, but the fact that it really feels like you didn't put your own writing to it. You didn't put your own spin to it. Like, Evil Dead 13, even though there's a lot of callbacks and references from the other movies in that movie, it felt original. it felt unique to what the other movies were, because it was strictly a horror movie. It was strictly a retelling of the story and also a 30-year continuation kind of thing. It felt fresh, and it actually, especially on the rewatch, when I went back at it with a different set of mind, it definitely felt fresh. It felt new and freshing, and I liked it. With this one, I feel like there's too many callbacks and too many references where I'm sorry, Lee, but your creativity is not shining through all that well. Like, you got some spunk. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of great shots in here, a lot of great direction in here. But the fact that a lot of these scenes and moments you took from other moments from other movies, just, I feel like you kind of copped out on some moments. Like, if I'm wrong, man. But I really feel like you didn't put your all into this. And if you do wind up making the next Evil Dead movie, I really hope you have more creativity when it comes to it. Because other than what you brought, I'm not completely impressed. Like, I like the movie, don't get me wrong. I, again, enjoyed it. Enjoyed watching it. Enjoyed the blood, the guts. But I didn't appreciate it. And I'm sorry, I don't think I will be able to appreciate this movie. Because, again, it's just no individual creativity here. It's just things you took from other movies. Like, I hate to be that harsh. I truly do. Because I love the Evil Dead franchise. And I actually had very high hopes. And like I said, when I first watched this movie, I was enamored with it. I was like, oh my God, I love these references. Oh, I love this, I love that. And then I started, going through more notes and backstories. And literally all the fun facts I found were just Easter eggs upon Easter eggs upon Easter eggs of other callback and references to the other movies. And I'm just like, where's your creativity? Like, the other guy brought in the fact that he brought, 75,000 gallons of blood? You recreated the Shining elevator scene. Like, don't get me wrong, I love that scene in The Shining. Everybody loves that scene from The Shining. It's fantastic. But the other guy made it rain blood, and he used 50,000 gallons. And he had an entire fight scene that ended up becoming like a badass scene at the end when she shoved that chainsaw up down the Abomination throat and was like, swallow this. Like, I love that. Great callback. This one, again, man, it's just a lack of creativity here for me. It's just a lack of creativity. But, hopefully, maybe it was something to do with Warner Brothers. Maybe just because one of the things I did look up about this movie is that this movie in particular went through several rewrites, because originally it was supposed to be a sequel to Evil Dead 3. Now that was scrapped. And it was supposed to be a sequel to Evil Dead 2013. Well, that was scrapped. Then it was supposed to be season 4 of Ash vs. the Evil Dead. Well, then that got scrapped. So then we became this, which is supposed to be, I guess, like a trilogy set of movies of all 3 of the different books, and maybe the 4th movie will have a combination of all 3 of the movies together. I don't know. I'm hoping that something comes of all this. Other than that, it just feels like a standalone Evil Dead movie that I really could kind of skip. Because, again, it's not one of my favorites. But like I said, it's not all bad. The acting's really good. I like the acting. I thought all the actors did a phenomenal job. Elisa Sutherland, who plays Ellie, the mom. A lot of people might know her from Vikings. I'm not too familiar with the show. I know her as Clacky from Devil Wears Prada. Morgan Davis, who plays Danny, really fine kid actor. I thought Nellie Fisher in her first role playing Cassie, she did a cutesy little job. She played the weird cutesy girl. Gabriella Eccles, who plays Bridget. I have it's not her as an actress I have a problem with. It's some of the writing choices they decided to make Bridget that I have a problem with. And kind of the same thing with Cassie and Danny. Again, I say once again, it's the fact that they really, really said, all right, Bridget, this is your personality, okay? You're the smart, actually not even the smart one. You're the logical one, as in, you see something evil, you go, put that book back. And you're also one of those teenagers. And by one of those teenagers, I'll get there when I get to the line. As soon as she said that, I was just like, oh, you are one of those teenagers. And that kind of irks me because those teenagers are entitled as hell. It's basically during the dinner, not the dinner scene, but when Beth and the kids all sitting down talking together, and Danny asks her, hey, did you drink snake blood? And Bridget comments back, that's cultural appropriation to ask. You're one of those teenagers. Gotcha, Bridget, gotcha. Then you got, Cassie. Her two traits are she's the weird little girl, and she's always asking if someone's okay. And doing stupid things that, little kids would do. And it's like case in point, when the mom's locked outside the apartment, she tricks Cassie to go, open the door. You would rather obviously think that a child would look through that peephole, see all the blood and the chaos, including mom covered in blood, and go, something ain't right with you, Mom. I'm going to leave you alone. But no. Being somehow written stupid for all of 2.7 seconds, she decides to open the door and let the mom in. So like I said, she's written weird, but it's a cutesy, stupid child at other points. You got Danny, who's literally a DJ wannabe player, and I say DJ wannabe because of the fact that he has a little turntable, and he's scratching away and whatnot and who not. And he's the instigator who starts all this stuff. And the thing that sets them up is the fact that him being a DJ with the turntable is why they're able to read the book, because there's these little record players. So that's why he's a DJer. Cassie being weird, making the stick, the Barbie head on a stick, is basically the weapon that ends up bringing Bridget down. Try to think of what Bridget... Bridget really doesn't do much in this movie besides bitch, complain, and then die. Granted, though, she does have some of the best cinematography, especially when she's possessed by the Deadites and she's covered with the blanket and everything. That cinematography is great and very, very creepy. But it's like stuff like that I have issues with. And it's like the same thing with the mom and Beth, mom, tattoo artist, single, and then possessed by Deadites. She's a strong, independent woman, and that's all, and she's a loving mom. And she's possessed by a Deadite. Beth, she's a guitar tech who's fucked up, comes to asks for help, and then ends up saving the day. That's literally everybody's MO. They're very shallow characters. There's no real character development. There's no real motive behind a lot of these things. And granted, they try to state some of these motives. Like one of the big things is the husband's left, their apartment complex is being condemned, so they got less than a month to move out. That's it. That's really it. And it feels like there are certain things set up just to be set ups for later on. Like, case in point, the earthquake. My thing is, why? Why does this random earthquake cause all this shenanigans? And if you notice, during the earthquake scene, it sets up several things in this movie. The fact that there's no cell service. The fact that, the lights go out and nobody thinks about it because, we just had an earthquake. The fact that it opens up the tree cutting thing, actually opens up. It opens up the hole in the ground so Danny can find the book. It's literally just convenience. A lot of this shit's just convenience. And I think that's also a problem I have with the writing. Just convenient writing. It's like nothing's really played realistically. It's all just convenient horror writing. Yeah, actually, that could be it. It's generic horror writing. That's simple as that. It's just generic horror writing. I have a problem with it because I've stated this countless times. I don't mind generic writing as long as it's good. And I think because it's so not good, I don't want to say bad because, again, it's not bad writing. It's just not good writing. And it's generic. And I think that could be one of the issues I have with this movie. Like, sorry, not sorry. But yeah, all these actors, all the kids actors are pretty good. Lily Sullivan, who plays Beth, she was good. And we can't forget about a lot of our little side characters, even though we don't get to see them all too terribly much. You got like Noah Paul, who plays Bruce. I think he's one of the kids. I'm not quite sure. We got Richard Crunchley, who plays Caleb from the beginning of the movie. You got Billy McCoy, who plays Jake. Anna Thompson, who plays Jessica. Maribel Peace, who plays Teresa. And this one was actually interesting. Mark Mexican, who plays Mr. Fonda, he actually guest starred in Ash vs. the Evil Dead. Did not know that. Unfortunately, I think the season 2, and then we had like the weird writer strike or something. Something ended up happening where I thought the show got canceled, and I didn't realize they slid another season underneath my nose. I enjoyed the show though. I thought Ash vs. the Evil Dead was really good. But yeah, like I said, the acting's fine. A lot of it's, it's fine. It's good. It's a decent horror movie. It's just the writings are hit or miss. And like I said, not all the writing's bad. And we'll get there when we get there when I get further into the movie. But yeah, straight up, I'm not a fan of the writing. That's really my problem with it. But let's go ahead and dive straight on into this movie so I can elaborate just a little bit more about some of my writing issues with this. So, we started off the movie with a classic POV shot, and we think it's a classic POV shot, the Kandarian demon floating through the sky, first person camera cutting throughout the woods and everything. Now, it's a drone. And we realize this, after the POV shot comes by this woman, Teresa, who's sitting on the dock reading Wuthering Heights, funny enough. And as she's reading it, of course, comes by, and Caleb, Jessica's boyfriend's being an asshole, and he's laughing his ass off. And she's just like, you could have taken my head off. Wouldn't be clean. Not with these blades. I'll fuck your face up, though. Kind of foreshadowing the consequences of that. Second of all, what kind of drone is that? Like, seriously, you have that kind of deadly ass blades? Like, dude, I thought a lot of the drone, blades weren't all that, like, powerful. That's why they can only go up certain heights and certain far, and you get them stuck in a tree. God help us. But, of course, Teresa, she ain't feeling this. She's like, whatever. Of course, Caleb's being this typical frat boy dude, burping, pissing in the pond and everything. And she's like, why didn't you go check on Jessica? She's alright. I gave her Klonopin to help her sleep off whatever the fuck's wrong with her. I swear, she's really annoying. And that pisses her off that she just goes, fine, I'll go check her out. So she walks off, goes towards the cabins, where we get this nice shot of the cabin, which we saw up and down through the trailers. And I thought, at first, especially when I first watched this, I was expecting this to be some kind of like the cabin over the original cabin, and somebody read the book, and there's going to be like some kind of concept of it happened here at the cabin and is taken to the apartment building. This is where the rest of the movie will be taking place at. But no, it's actually the opposite way around. We find that at the end of the movie. Which, by the way, guys, spoiler alerts for this entire movie. I know it only came out just a few months ago, so spoilers, guys, straight up. But she goes into the cabin. There's, of course, a lot of nice nod reference shots of, like, looking at a grandfather clock, the dead flies, which is a nod reference to Evil Dead 2, especially looking at the reflection of the clock. But she goes inside, and she sees Jessica, and poor Jessica, she ain't having a good day. But here's something that bothers me, though. We all know she gets possessed at the end of the movie because it's like a whole roundabout, of when it ended up happening. Because even after this opening, we get a day earlier. So this is all like a roundabout, right? You're telling me she got possessed in the garage, and the demon lay low long enough for her to drive to her friend's house, pick her up. I don't know if she met the boyfriend at the cabin or if she picked him up too, but she drove all the way to that cabin and then crapped out. Like, that's what you're telling me? Granted, I know that they're trying to set the new rules of the Deadites, and I have a bit of a problem with that because of the fact that in the other movies, especially the 2013 one, when they became possessed, it felt creepy. It felt, oh my god, I wouldn't want to be possessed, especially with all the taunting and the fuckery that was going on, the way they were able to, puke blood and, stab each other or some bullshit or something, left, right, whatever. When they got possessed, though, it was badass. It was pretty cool. I'll be honest, not here, man, not here. This was ended up happening. So she walks in, to the cabin. She sees Jessica curled up on the bed. She's just like, hey, listen, I know you don't feel good, so why don't you give me the keys and I'll just leave so I don't have to deal with your douchebag boyfriend of the week. And she mumbles something. We don't quite catch it. So she sits down. She's just like, if you don't wake up in at least the next 30 minutes, I'm going to go outside and drown your brainless meathead of a puppet boyfriend. And you hear like a little chuckle. And so it's like, okay, maybe my friend's okay. Maybe everything's good. So she starts reading Rather Heights. And as she's reading it, she's like reading it in her head, of course. But Jessica starts reading it aloud. And I want to say it's like the ghost scene. I don't really remember Wuthering Heights all that well. I read it in high school, which was eons ago for me. I'm almost 30 now, and I graduated high school in 2012. So over 10 years ago. But yeah, I can't really remember it, but she's reading the thing about this ghost, about let me in. But as she's reading it, Jessica pops up, and she's sitting on the bed, back turned and everything. And fucking Teresa's just like, oh my god, oh my god, okay, stop reading, okay, you're freaking me out. And then Jessica kind of just crumbles over. Like, I'm not gonna lie, she just crumbles over and falls to the ground. Teresa runs around and it's just like, oh my god, Jessica, you okay? And then she starts spazzing out and then pukes up white goo that turns gray. And I noticed that when it was like laying on her like face and shit on her neck, it turned gray. But she starts coughing up on that. And of course, Teresa's freaking out. She's like, oh my god, Jessica, oh my god, oh I can't believe you're dead. And as she leans in, of course she's not dead, she's possessed by the Deadites. She grabs Teresa by her ponytail, which is braided up, and looks at her as she's like pulling her in closer. And she straight up asks her, who's the brainless meat puppet now? And then rips her scalp out. Now, I love that moment. I'm not going to lie. This whole opening, I actually somewhat enjoyed because of the fact that okay, let's get past the point that the fact that when she got taken over by the demon was kind of lame. But being the fact that our first like gore effect is that nice clean like scalp, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. 10 out of 10 on gore effects right now. That got me really hyped up for the movie. Especially when we cut to the next part where fucking Caleb's standing outside the fucking dock taking a piss. And Teresa comes stumbling out. Her head's just bleeding, pouring blood. And we see Jessica drop her scalp next to her. And Caleb's like, oh my god, like, Teresa, you alright? Jessica, what are you doing? And Jessica reaches for the drone, which is some reason is still just idly floating there for some reason. I don't know why, but it's just there. And she grabs it, smiling as she's doing this, just gently and swiftly just throws the drone into her face. Drone goes one way, she goes the other way. She tumbles into the water. Caleb's like, oh my god, Jessica jumps in. Teresa tries to stop him, but does not work. Caleb starts swimming around, panic, gets dragged underneath the water, and then we just see something pop out of the water and land on the deck, and it's his fucking head. Now, I'm going to be honest, I was not a big fan of the decapitation part because the head did not look good to me. I'm not going to lie, it did not look that great. I guess I'm spoiled on the other director, Alcatraz's work. I got really spoiled with his practical effects that now that I see what amazing care and love is, Every time I see a CGI moment, I'm just saddened. I'm like, I get it, it's cheaper, but where's the love at? Where's the love? So I saw the hand, I was just like, where's the love at, man? But of course, after that, she looks at the water, and Jessica does the cool rising moment from the lake where she's just slightly floating above it. Of course, the sun's setting, it's all red. We get the epic Evil Dead Rises title card just kind of float up with her as well, which I thought that was really nice. Like, that's actually one hell of an opening title right there. But like I said, there's bits and pieces about this opening that, I like this opening, don't get me wrong, but there's bits and pieces I liked and bits and pieces I didn't like. Again, that first scalping, that first moment, beautiful. The fact that we saw Jessica drop that scalp, beautiful. Then Caleb's decapitated head, not so beautiful. Very disappointing, very disappointing. And like I said, this movie's a hit or miss, man. It's like the writing's a hit or miss, the set designs, not set designs, but practical effects are hit or miss. Because again, there are moments that are really, really good, and then we got CGI head Caleb over here. Like, it's just, I don't know, maybe I just got too spoiled, like really too spoiled with the 2013 movie, and the fact that that man took a lot of craft and care in that movie. And I don't know, like, I don't know exactly how much love Lee has for this movie. I feel like it is a lot of love. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like it is a lot of love because of all the nods and references. But there's just so many of them that it feels like he may not love it. That he might have just watched the movies, like all four of the movies, and then picked and choose what he liked out of it and said, all right, that's what's going to be in my script. That's what's going to be in the scene. That's what I'm going to do. Because I haven't heard really much about Lee gloating too much about this movie. Like, compared to the other director, who was just like, oh yeah, no, I love Evil Dead, and like every interview I saw him in, he was just gloating and praising how much he loved the original Evil Deads and how he wanted to do it justice and honor and all this stuff. With Lee, on the other hand, I didn't really see that much coming from any kind of interviews from him. Like, straight up. But after that opening, we have, of course, one day earlier, we're with Beth. She is a guitar tech, and she is taking a pregnancy test. She's not too happy about the outcome when it pops up positive. Granted, we as the audience don't get to see it, but she does let us know she's pregnant, especially from her facial expression when she looks at the stick and goes, huh, yeah, not good, not good. So she heads over to Los Angeles to go see her sister, who is in a crummy apartment complex. It's like crummy. I'm talking about like falling apart. Old buzzers don't work. Half the lights, if you sneeze wrong, would probably go out. I'm surprised it didn't crumble beforehand. But as she's walking in, we get a nice little introduction to all the kids and Ellie. It's a little decent introduction. We get the mom. Of course, she's a tattoo artist. Her name is Ellie. And we see her soldering one of her needles up, and she's doing her hair. She wants to get like a red, and like a nice red, by the way. I love the red. I really wish we could have seen her with the red more often, but it looked really good on her. I've done that color of red before. I like it. That blood red, really good. But Bridget comes out, and she's like, Mom, have you seen my black t-shirt? I need it for the protest tomorrow. And she's just like, how many times have I told you? You're not going to a protest by yourself. Sabrina's dad's taking us. Mm-hmm. And have you checked the laundry hamper? Okay. Goes to walk off, and she's like, tell Danny to turn down the music, by the way. Danny, turn it down. Just straight up just yells it out. You just hear Mom in a classic reaction, just, I could have done that myself. And of course, we get Danny, he's on his little DJ machine, partying it out, got a little headphone on, he's going all out. And then we cut to Cassie, who, I'm pretty sure she is a little psychopath in the making. I'm not gonna lie. I'm straight, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I feel like she was written like a little sociopath. Okay? Where her introduction is she's cutting off the head of her baby doll with a pair of scissors. That she stole from her mom, by the way. And she even lied about it because she was like, Cass, where are my scissors? And she throws them underneath the sofa. It's like, oh, I don't know, Mama, don't have them. Like, you lying little bitch. You lying little bitch. You lying to your mama. You lying to your mama. But it's a nice little introduction because, you know, this is where they feel like a normal family. Granted, though, I'm still a firm believer that, you know, if you're going to protest, you should be a certain age to protest because of the fact that sometimes protests can get very dangerous. Whether you want to call them peaceful or not, you know they can get very dangerous at some points, and I don't think it's safe for children to be around protests like that. I get it. They want to speak their truth. They want to speak their hearts out. That's more than fine. You're more than welcome to do that. But personally, my child wanted to protest. I would say no, just because of the danger factor when it comes to protesting. But Mom don't care, though, which is also concerning because of the fact that this is Los Angeles. I will say no more about that. But, you know, it's a nice introduction of a normal family. You know, like I said, Bridget being a protest, Mom being a little witty, just, how many times have I told you? How many times have I told you to check that I'm going with Sabrina's dad? I told you 10 times. And I told you 10 times to check the bathroom hamper, too. You know, it's little quits like that. That's where the nice writing comes in at, you know, with the realistic family. Because that's something, you know, a mom would say, you know, tell your brother to turn it down. Yells it out, turn it down. I could have done that myself, you know. I mean, hell, I did that with my mom several times. Just tell your sister to turn down the TV. Leanna, turn the TV down. I could have hollered myself. Well, you should have done it, Mom. But as we get done with our little introduction, of course the doorbell rings. And Bridget goes over there, open it, and it's her neighbors. They're, you know, eating Cheetos and like, hey, you want to come watch the Freddy's movies with us? Since my mom's out on night shift. Yeah, we're watching all of them. Even those shitty ones. Oh, there are no shitty ones, man. First of all, yes, there is. There are shitty Nightmares on Elm Street. They're good shitty, but they're shitty nonetheless, okay? We're not going to talk about Dream Child and Dream Master, okay? I want to say especially Dream Master with the whole fighting the invisible Freddy because we ran out of budgetary money. Like, straight up. But Bridget's just like, nah, and closes the door. She looks through the peephole and she sees that he wants to knock, but he changes his mind and turned around, which is a nice little moment to show you that this neighbor wants to hang out with Bridget and probably likes her, but he's could be intimidated by her butch attitude. But as soon as that gets done, she turns around, sees Cass standing there with a mop head on her head with the stick and the baby doll head. And this is that moment I was talking about earlier where she's like, your boyfriends are weird. No, you're weird. And then she gut punches her in the gut. They run off. You know, they fight over the stick. It breaks. Runs to the brother's room. Her and the brother get together. And then they tackle Cassie and they start tickling her and everybody giggles and it's all a good time and everybody's happy and it's, oh, look at this big old happy family. And not this realistic happy family. Because there is a bit of a difference between a movie family and a realistic family when it comes to writing. And this is the quintessential idea of a movie family, you know. They're not really fighting, you know. Even if there's something weird or something is said about the other one, they kind of brush it off and they giggle and, I love you, you're the best sister ever, you know, that bullshit. That's a TV family, that's a movie family. Those are the families we see on movies and TV shows and just go, it's cute, but not realistic. And then you got realistic families, which we've all seen, like The Haunting of Hill House. Perfect example of a realistic family that went through trauma and hates each other, but loves some of the other ones. Like, I want to say it's, oh God, Theo dislikes Ellie because of an incident, and then she likes Shelby, and then they end up fighting, and then it's like everyone's always arguing with Luke, everybody's always arguing with the other brother, Steven, you know, it's just a whole back and forth, but they feel realistic and believable as a family that went through this trauma, and they're all processing it in their different ways. This is not one of these families. I hate to say it, I'm going to be honest. They're not one of these families. So after all that shenanigans, we hear the doorbell ring again. Beth is just like, can someone go check it out, please? Of course, no answer. So she goes outside to check it out, and, you know, she's got her hair up in a towel, and she opens the door, she looks left, she looks right, she looks left again, and fucking Beth comes out to go boo and scare her, and Ellie's reaction is to punch her sister because she got scared. I never felt anything more than that moment right there. I feel that with my soul. I felt that with my soul. So she's like, oh my God, Beth, what are you doing here? You know, I'm so glad you're here, yada yada. You know, when'd you get in? Oh, I just came in. You know, I tried buzzing y'all downstairs, but your buzzer won't work. I just walked in. This is where we learned that the building's being demolished and being destroyed because it's falling apart. And who the hell cares about this apartment complex? And she's got a month to get out, and Beth makes a mention about Jay, her husband, and of course, Ellie kind of freezes up and doesn't look at her sister, but she freezes up and walks away because Beth has no clue that her husband's done left. Even though Ellie called her twice and told her that Jay was leaving, it kind of registered to Ellie that Beth's not really paying attention. She's in her own little world, and now she's here for a reason. Clearly, she's here for a reason. And again, that's one of those nice character moments. And that comes more for the actress herself, the way she portrayed that scene, of the look she had when Beth brought up Jay, and she was like, and they kept on walking. Well, now we're at the little family table, and everyone's chit-chatting, how did you enjoy your concert? What was it like? Was it crazy? Oh, yeah, crazy fans. And, of course, this is where Danny is just like, oh, did you drink snake blood? That's culturally insensitive. Like, Beth? Who the fuck asked you? Oh, not Beth, Bridget. Who the fuck asked you? Okay? That's not culturally insensitive, especially in Bangladesh, where she went. That's actually I want to say that's not like a normal dinner, but that's something they do eat is snakes. And I want to say they do something with the blood. I'm not quite sure. I'm not too familiar. I do watch a lot of food guys. Oh God, what's the name of that one YouTuber I watch? He travels all around the world and he tries different food from like Thailand, Bangladesh, shit like that. And he even ate dog once. He gave it a shot. He was like, it was not the best thing in the world, but I can get why people eat it. Like, it was very weird, very weird. But I like the guy though. But, they chit-chat about that, and then she sees Cass with the fucking baby doll head, and she's like, hey, what's up with this? Like, what's going on with this? And she's like, oh, this is Stephanie. Danny was telling me that there's a ghost of a bank teller guy who stole a whole bunch of money, then killed himself, and now his ghost is walking around, and when he hears jingling in your pockets, he's going to scare you so he can steal your money. And that's why I created Stephanie, so she could scare him first before he steals my money. And, of course, Betsy's just like, okay, well, no such thing as ghosts. That's not real. She's like, oh, well, have you ever seen a ghost? No, but I believe what I see in. And if she gives her a bracelet, she's like, oh my God, what's this for me? Yes, for badass rocket chicks like you. Hey, Mom, I'm a badass. I see that line and delivery was funny as hell. Like, I love that. And then the mom's reaction is just, don't introduce her into your groupie lifestyle, okay? What's a groupie? Nothing. Nobody. You don't need to know what a groupie is, darling. Like, straight up. But we know she ain't a groupie. She's the guitar tech. And she then proceeds to pull out a cup for the dad. She's like, I brought your dad a gift as well. And of course, everybody goes silent. I kind of looks down awkwardly, and she's like, what? Oh, what's going on? Kids, why don't y'all go get some pizza, and I'll talk to Auntie Beth. So the kids run off, and that's when Beth learns that Jay left. And of course, she's just like, man, she would have called me. I would have flown down. I would have came and been here and support you. And of course, Beth, not Beth, but Ellie's just like, I did. I called you twice. Oh my God, Ellie, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Like, you just know how it is when, you know, you're on tour and I get wrapped up in my own little world. And she's like, it's fine. It's fine. You know, you can sleep on the sofa tonight, but I gotta pack up and plan on moving. And then leaves it at that. Now, my problem with this moment, I like this moment. Don't get me wrong. I really, really like this moment. I wish they would have held on to that moment a little bit more and it had like more of it festering a boil to the point that they never actually got it resolved or were close to getting it resolved. Because, again, it's the mom that gets possessed, but that would have added a bit more like harsh character moments that Beth never got to sit down and talk to Ellie about this, and she never got to sit down and, you know, apologize for real and realize that she was in the wrong and all this stuff. And I really would have added a lot more like fuckery the demon could have said or done towards Beth and somewhere in the movie. But unfortunately, that like whole beef is brought up for all of like 5 seconds, and then it's completely dropped 2 scenes later. Because of you know, them reconciling literally 2 seconds before the earthquake. But what ends up happening is right after that, the kids are coming back from the pizza with the generated pizza boxes. And of course, we get the little foreshadowing about the gate, how it takes a minute to open and everything. And then we cut to Beth sitting on top of the bathtub, listening to the voicemail, and of course it's Ellie like, hey Bethy Boo, it's me. You know, I need to talk to you. And Ellie walks in as Beth hangs up the phone going, I am so fucking stupid. Ellie's just like, yeah, I would hang up on that too. I don't like the sound of my own voice. She sits down and she's like, Ellie, I'm sorry. If I would have known, hey, no, I get it. So what's wrong with you? Why are you here? And of course she's like, you know what? I fucked up, Beth. Not Beth, but she's like, Ellie, I fucked up. I fucked up again as always, and I need your help to fix it, like always. And I get why they wanted to do that. You know, say that particular moment right here because of the fact that it wants to show you how much she relies on her sister anytime something goes wrong in her life. That she's literally will run straight to her sister for everything, but the moment her sister needs her, she's not there. I get that, but there's literally a moment later on in the movie where the sister talks about it, like straight up. And I like that scene a lot better. I really, like I said, I really wish they would have kept some of that anger of, you know, the fact that she didn't pay attention to the voicemail, she didn't show up when she did, and that nothing was reconciled. I really would have liked that a lot more. Because that would have added, especially a depressing aspect on Beth's character's point of view, or get Beth's side, because of the fact that she never got to reconcile with her sister. Like the last thing they did before she got possessed was fight. And I feel like that would have been a hell of a gut punch right there, but because right here we kind of made up and we're talking about it, but as soon as she's about to say that she's pregnant, the earthquake starts happening. The kids, of course, panic. They're down in the garage. They drop the pizza, drop the soda. They hide up underneath somewhere. We see the cracks go all through the parking garage. It opens up a hole. And poor Cassie, she's just like, I think I peed myself. Is it warm? No? It's just soda then. Like, I like that moment. I like that because that's realistic right there. That's realistic. You know, the kids go through an earthquake and the first thing the little one says is, I think I peed myself, because she's so scared. And then, of course, Bridget being like the nice older sister is just like, no, it's okay. You didn't pee yourself. You just got soda. Granted, I wish she was spoken with a bit more compassion. Because I will say, the actress who plays Bridget, she's good. But there's some lines she delivers towards the siblings, especially Danny near the middle of the movie when they're arguing, a lot of moments with Cass, that she doesn't add any kind of emotion behind it except for like her cold stone attitude. And I guess that's just a character choice from her, but I really wasn't a big fan of it. Out of all the kids, she's my least favorite. It's literally her, Cass, then Danny. I actually like Danny because he has some great development. Well, not really development, but, just he was a great character because of, how he was able to admit the fact that he fucked up. He fucked up. And Cass, I liked her, but like I said, she was like a hit or miss because later on in the movie, I'll explain why she was more of a miss for me at some aspects. But after the earthquake and, everyone calms down a little bit, Danny finds the hole and he decides to go investigate. So he climbs on down. And of course, Bridget's up there. Danny, come on, gotta get out of there. And it's like, bitch. He found a bank, a vault. I'm with him. Let's investigate because, like, straight up, like, usually I'm just like, hey, guys, let's not investigate the creepy shit, okay? Like, something opens up in the hole in the ground, you don't investigate. This is one of those moments I'm like, no, investigate, because of the fact that if you went to that bank and you found something, it could be worth a lot of money. I will stand by what Danny's decision about that, about you could find a lot of money, especially old school, like, Los Angeles banks and stuff. You could find a lot of good treasures in there that could be worth a pretty penny to the right collector. So I'm with Danny. Grant, I'm not with Danny with the book now, because let me explain. So he starts opening up all the containers and everything, and he finds, of course, a lot of notes, the picture of the priest, the vinyl records and stuff, and he's stashing all this away. And a statue of Jesus scares the shit out of him. Scares the shit out of me too, by the way, because holy Christ, like straight up, statue of Jesus comes crashing down in front of him, and kind of hanging there. He's on the cross and everything. Freaked me out, freaked him out. But Danny starts investigating a little more, and he comes around the corner, and he sees this big ass like concrete coffin. I'm gonna call it a coffin. Granted, it's a big old box, but it's still a fucking coffin. And it's covered on the ceiling with crosses and medallions just all over the place. And the cinematography here is beautiful because as he's moving, the lights, the shadows reflecting of the crosses and the medallions are reflecting onto the wall. And it's a really nice visual shot, I'm not going to lie. But he sees this, and of course he gets excited. Now, my ass would be grabbing all those medallions. I'm not going to lie. Like, I could sell this with the right collector. As soon as he looked down and sees something wrapped up in cloth, that's where I'm just like, okay, I don't fuck with that now. That's there for a reason. That's there, but God put that there for a reason, okay? But he goes, fuck that shit, grabs it, puts it down, opens it up, and as he's messing with it, he sees that it's moving, right? As soon as he opens it, it's just a swarm of flies and disgusting bugs on it, and they come at him, and of course he's swatting them away, he's panicking, he's freaking out, they fly off, and we get our first actual reveal of this book. Now, of course, they brought back the naming of the books for this one, which was the Necrodemento or something like that, Necrodemento. Again, not the same book from the original Evil Dead, but it is a loose cousin to the other Book of the Dead from the 2013 movie. And when I say loose cousin, I mean they're in part of the same fables of books. This is the second one. We saw the first one in the 2013 one. This one is different, however, to a degree that is covered with flesh and binding, but it's got... it looks like veins almost going through the book, and it's bound with teeth closing at the edge of the book, kind of holding it together like that Harry Potter book. So y'all know the book I'm talking about, the one in Harry Potter where you have to like caress the side of it and then it'll pop open, otherwise it'll start attacking you. I think we saw in The Prisoner of Azkaban. Was that it? Or was it Goblet of Fire? I want to say it's Azkaban we saw that book. But he sees the book, and of course he's like, hey, I'm taking the book. So as they're taking the book, we cut back to Ellie and Beth. You know, they're banging on the door trying to get somebody's cell phone or keys to somebody's car, so they go look for the kids because they don't know where the kids are at. And this is when a cute neighbor, I think this is the actor Bruce, cute neighbor, comes on out. And he's just like, hey, what's going on? Is everybody okay? The kids went to get pizza, and now I can't find them, and there's no cell service. I'll get my car, and we'll go look for them. So you see that these neighbors are really nice people, and I like that. I like that choices that these neighbors are realistic, nice people. Not everybody in Los Angeles is a douchebag, especially when we all live in the same crummy apartment. Granted, there are some douchebags on some floors, some out there. But on this floor, not that many douchebags, some really nice people on here. Cute guy being one of them, and Mr. Fonda being the other one. He ends up coming out, Mr. Fonda, and he's just like, who are you? Pointing at a bed. And she's like, oh, I'm Ellie's sister. Oh, you're the groupie. Okay. Which, by the way, Beth does not like being called a groupie. She does not like being, she even says that multiple times. She does not like being called a groupie because she's not a groupie. She is a guitar tech. There is a difference. I will say that. But, of course, you know, everybody, you know, is doing their own thing. Mr. Fonda makes a mention about how his cat, after the earthquake, ran up into the vents. And keep an eye out on that. That'll come back later. Unfortunately, the cat, we only get a glimpse of the cat near the end of the movie. And I don't know if the cat made it or not. I can't tell you. But he goes back inside as cute guy, and Ellie goes towards the elevator. Of course, the elevator pops up. It's the kids. Mom runs to them, and little Cass is just like, Bridget dropped the pizza. You guys are more important than pizza. And then she hugs them. This is one of those realistic moments I was talking about. This was it. Because when she runs up to them, one of the first things out of her mouth is the first thing a mother would say is, how many times have I told y'all you're not supposed to take elevators after an earthquake? And that's when Cass says the line, you know, Bridget dropped the pizza. And she's like, oh, y'all are more important than pizza. And then hugs her. That's a good realistic moment because that moment of her panicking, you know, can't get in touch with her kids, it was just a massive fucking, like they say it was like a 5.2. Massive earthquake just happened. She is panicking because she don't know if her kids, you know, got caught in this bullshit, if they're stuck somewhere, if they've died, or anything. But she is panicking. And then when she sees them, you see the relief on her face. And then the fact that, you know, she has that chastising moment of, oh my God, you just did something dangerously stupid. And then when Cass kind of wants to break down like a little kid, you know, Mom, she dropped the pizza. Thinking Mom would be more mad about the pizza because that's a waste of money. Which, by the way, I looked into that. The pizza didn't look that bad at all. It was still salvageable. I feel like it was still salvageable. I feel like they could have still ate. But that's just me. But, you know, they hug it out, and it's a cute moment. It's a realistic moment, and I like that. And I don't know why they can't carry that throughout the entire movie. But after, you know, that cute little moment, and they hug it out, everybody's trying to clean up after the earthquake, and Ellie sees, of course, her ex-husband's shoe. She gets mad, so she starts trying to clean out all his stuff. And while that's going on, Danny is showing Bridget the book, and she's like, why do you have this book? Well, Mom, what if we could sell this and get Mom some money? Because Mom could use the extra money right now. Yeah, sure, Danny. She wants money from something you stole. I didn't steal it. I found it. Which, he ain't wrong, by the way. He ain't wrong. It's not stealing because it was in his apartment complex. And it was found. It's left abandoned. It's not stealing. He was just borrowing it for a friend. He'll bring it back. But, you know, they argue a little bit, you know, about the book and everything. And Danny goes to try to, like, pry it open. And, of course, he cuts his finger on the damn side of the teeth of the book, drops the blood, wakes the fucking book up. Which I'm starting to think that's just the way to wake that book up. Just cut your finger on the cover, it will wake up. It wakes up, though. And it unlocks, and Danny starts flipping through the page, and of course he's enamored with it. You know, he's looking through all the gory details, the crazy designs, the decapitations, the mutilations, the blood, the guts, the gore. He's all like, oh my god, ooh. And Bridget's like, okay, Danny, close the book. Danny, close the book. Danny, she closes the book, and it's just like, you need to put this back tonight. Mom's not letting anybody out of the apartment tonight, and put it back first thing in the morning. And Danny's just like, all right, fine, I'll put it back. I'll put it back first thing in the morning. That was their mistake right there. They should not have waited till the morning. But Cassie is getting ready for a bath time, and this is one of those moments I have problems with. So Cassie at this point has been shown to be the weird one, right? She's done decapitated a doll's head. She's very superstitious of ghosts. Again, I've done weird things as a kid. But she's now about to have bath time, right? She's in a bathing suit and goggles. And of course, Auntie Beth is just like, what are you doing? Going snorkeling or something? She then proceeds to tell a story about how she got stung by a jellyfish, so she has to look under the water before she can get in. Now, I can get having PTSD flashbacks. I mean, hell, especially, I have PTSD with rattlesnakes. You do not show me a rattlesnake. I go back to when I was a child. I was almost bit by a Louisiana diamondback. Like, I kid you not, that shit was terrifying. I could have been dead. Like, straight up, I could have died. So I get PTSD flashbacks. But my problem is the fact that there's a shower function in this tub, okay? It's rather obvious. We've seen the shower head. Why doesn't she take showers? If she is that scared of the water, why has no one convinced her to take showers? So she doesn't have to wear this goofy getup. And then she could deal with her own trauma when she's ready. Like that would be my thing. Like, if you had problems, like, yeah, I was scared of the changeling, right? Then that scene in the Changeling that scared me of taking baths is the fact that at one point in the movie we see Ghost of Joseph in the bathtub. So I was afraid anytime I took a bath, I would see Joseph's ghost in the bathtub. So I stopped taking baths and went strictly shower mode. And I was about roughly the same age as Cass was. So again, I feel like logically she would go with the latter of the options, but again, maybe that was just me as a kid. I personally just feel like they wrote her just so we could have this callback moment of not really callback moment, but funny like haha moment between her and Beth, where, of course, Beth's like, well, there's nothing in the water, and she sticks her hand in there, and she's like, oh my god, it's, and then pulls up a rubber ducky, squeezes it, and then looks at Kaz, and she's like, really? And as soon as that happens, Beth starts crying, and then clenches her stomach, and Cass, being the cute little girl, again, this is good writing right here, comes up to her, hugs her, and just goes, I hate it when my tummy hurts too. That's a good moment because she doesn't know that she's pregnant, alright? Cass doesn't know. And the fact that she's not assuming right off the bat, oh, you're pregnant, she just thinks her tummy hurts, that's adorable. That's cute. But yeah, I just found that weird that she's going through this moment where she's got to wear bathing suits just to go take a bath in a bathtub. And you would think also logically she would have more of a fear of the ocean and not taking a bath because of the fact that I don't think a jellyfish is going to just pop into your bathtub. Ghosts are one thing, but jellyfish, that's like implausible. That's highly implausible. I would believe a snake coming through my drains more quickly than I would a jellyfish coming through my drains. Because I've seen snakes come through toilets now. Okay, I've seen Australia. I've seen you guys. Yo, you guys got some crazy shit there. That's why I check my toilet every time I sit down. Okay, because I've seen too many videos from Australia. But after that, Danny is now playing with the records he found, and he's scrolling through. And of course, when he first starts it, it's like all garbage and gibberish. So he starts, slowly spinning the disc around, and that's when he starts hearing what's going on. And of course, is Marcus Littletone, who is a librarian keeper for a Catholic cathedral or something. I didn't quite write down what he was a library of, but he brought the book in because the ministers found it overseas, and he's just like, this is one of 3 volumes of the Nectrum Demento, the Book of the Dead, and I need y'all's blessing to translate what's going on. Of course, everyone's yelling and screaming, and this is where we get a nice Bruce cameo that no one, is one. You ever, again, blink you should miss it cameo. This is close your ears and miss it cameo. You hear Bruce Campbell scream out, "It's the Book of the Dead for a reason. Destroy it." And as that's going on, Mom is taking, Dad's clothing out, I guess, to the garbage. And as she's walking to the elevator, she sees the stairs and should have taken her own advice about taking the stairs. But goes, no, I'm going to take the elevator instead. Goes to the elevator, starts heading on down as the son is now into the next vinyl and listening to it. And it's the chair and the chanting going on. And at one point, it won't stop. It doesn't stop. He even hits the button. He tries to unplug it. Like, I wasn't, when I was watching this originally, I was just like, dude, unplug it. Pull the needle off or something. And when he actually did it and it didn't work, I was like, okay, I have nothing else for you, my dude. I don't know what else to tell you except throw water on it. I don't know. I was very happy he at least tried to pull the needle off of it, though. But of course it doesn't work, so it starts sparking and all this shit. And then we get the POV shot of the Kandarian demon coming through the street, through the apartment complex door. As soon as the elevator doors open and Mom takes her step out, she is thrown against the back of the elevator, and then it literally throws her all the way back up, elevator and all the way back up to her floor. And it's a really nice shot. I'm not gonna lie, I like this shot. Like, this whole moment right here was really good with the camera work, because we see her literally get kind of picked up with the elevator as she's just kind of floating there. As soon as it hits the top of her floor, she crumbles to the ground, panels and everything comes out. She awakens. Of course, her head's bleeding, and she can't be heard. Like, this elevator apparently is soundproof, so as she's banging on the window going, help, someone help me. Nothing. So she starts, trying to open the elevator door with her keys, and as she's doing that, she's hearing, of course, the Kandarian demon whispering. We've all heard it. As soon as I hear it, I'm just like, it's good to hear your voice again, old friend. It truly is. But it starts fucking with her to the point that she screams, shut the fuck up, and it goes silent. And the demon took that personally, by the way. The demon's like, who you telling to shut the fuck up, bitch? Fucking grabs her earring, right? Rips it out of her ear. Bitch slaps her one good time. And then the wire cables come down and wrap around her throat and try to hang her for a minute. And this is, of course, a nod or a reference to the tree scene that we see in Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2013 and all that. And of course, this one seems just as painful as the one Mia went through in 2013, because of the fact that cable wires for elevators are really rough. And it's like, as soon as it wraps around her, there's just blood everywhere, and it's like contorting her in the most uncomfortable position. You can actually hear bones kind of breaking. And again, this is when those sound effects really come through, and I really like these sound effects. This is a really, really good moment. And even with the scream, granted, you would think, in that situation, you would hear a loud, flamboyant screaming, like we heard, like Mia did back in the 2013 one. This one, I guess because it's wrapped around her throat at this point and probably strangling the shit out of her, she gives off a very subtle but scared scream. and then all the lights go out. She's thrown in the darkness. The whole apartment complex is thrown in the darkness. Let me rephrase that. I'm pretty sure it's just that floor. I don't think it's the whole apartment. I think it's just that floor. Because you pay attention near the end when we get the whole loop about with Jessica. You see her floor is untouched. Her stairs are fine. She's on the 5th floor. She's good. She's Gucci. Floor number 13 and definitely floor number 14 are pretty fucked up at this moment. But after they get done, with all the lights going out and everything, Bridget's taking a look around, and she realizes it is just them. She's like, okay, this ain't right. It's just us having a blackout. So she starts lighting candles. Beth and Cassie go to try to find Mom, can't find her. And as, they're walking around, Ellie opens the door, kind of staggers on in, closes the door, doesn't say a word to anybody or anything, just staggers onto the kitchen, turns on the fire, on the eye, by the way, grabs a pan, aggressively puts that bitch down, grabs a little thing of eggs, pulls them in, and then starts just throwing eggs and the shells into the pan, just one at a time, just going and going. And of course, everybody walks in behind her and it's just like, Ellie, are you okay? You all right? Are you good? And what's really creepy about this scene is that the eggs are spewing blood out as well as she's throwing them in. So it's a mixture of egg yolk and blood. And she proceeds to say, I had this most beautiful dream. We were in this meadow and there was this melody. And it was perfect. And all I wanted was to cut you all open and climb inside y'all's bodies so we could be one big happy family. Kind of foreshadowing the ending of the movie, which I thought was a funny little nod right there, that there was a bit of foreshadowing there when it came to the ending, where it's just like, I wish I could climb all into y'all and be one big happy family. And that's basically how the amalgamation ends up becoming. They kind of fuse together. But after that is like, Ellie, are you okay? And she turns around, and she's, of course got a little blood on her, and she's just like, it's in me. And she proceeds to kind of contour a little bit, fall to the ground like she's trying to fight it off, but she's not winning. And she ends up puking all that white goo from earlier in the movie. I mean, an excessive amount, by the way, like more than the first girl. The first girl just... just a little bit. Now, this becomes an Evil Dead 2 moment, or 2013, and just keeps going and going and going and going. As soon as she gets done, she looks up, and the last moment, the last thing Beth said before she died, and this is actually a great moment to talk about because of the fact that it shows you how much she loves her children. That even the brink of death, knowing that there was something evil inside of her, the only fear she had was, don't let them take my babies. Don't let them take my babies is her final words. And that is such a strong thing for a mother to say. And the fact that her last words were that, protect my children. Which, I'm going to be honest, Beth royally failed. Granted, she protected one, but we lost the other two. So, I don't know how happy Elle would feel. But the point is, that was her last words. She falls to the ground. And of course, everyone's freaking out. Danny and Beth, try to take Elle down to the elevator. See that it's fucked up. They can't do it. They go to take the stairs. The stairs are fucked up from the earthquake. They're now trapped on this floor, and Ellie's dead. Ellie's dead. She's officially dead. So they call the neighbors, and of course the cute guy's there, and he goes to close Ellie's eyes, and then they open right back up. And he kind of backs up a little bit, and he does it again, and you just hear Beth in the background going, she was fine 1 minute, and then she started talking gibberish, and then now she's gone. Now she's gone. And of course cute guy's just like, okay. mind if I say a prayer? She wasn't religious. A little prayer might help, though. So he says a nice, jaunty little prayer, and then looks at Mr. At the other neighbor, Mr. Florida, or Flounder, whatever his name was. But they look at each other and they start contemplating, we can't get down the elevator, they can't use the stairs. What if we start trying to go through the emergency fire exit? And he's like, yeah, there's one, but it's in 82 though. Isn't that apartment abandoned or whatever? Yeah, but it's locked though. So let's go ahead and take care of this then. So they go off and try to open up this door so they get to the emergency fire escape and get the hell about. Kids, unfortunately, are in shock. And they just don't know what to do. They're just like, Cass is like, oh my God, is mom gonna be okay? And Bridget's like, I don't know. I hope so. Maybe. Do you think Dad will come back? Yes, he definitely will come back once we get the cell phones working. Well, why are you lying to me? You said Mom will be all right, and I know Dad's not going to come back. And this is where a little bit of my problem with the writing comes in again. Suddenly, Cass has become a whiny little child, asking repetitive questions of, is Dad coming back? Like, why would you think your dad's coming back? I'm sorry, not sorry, but there's no cell phone service and your dad abandoned y'all 2 months ago. What makes you think your dad's magically going to suddenly appear? I know that's very harsh words, especially the fact that she's supposed to be like, a 10-year-old? I want to say she's like 10, maybe 9 years old. Could be 8 the youngest, I don't know, but she seems about 10. You would think, though, logically, she would kind of grasp the fact that their father abandoned them and the fact that, Danny and Bridget don't really talk about him, so I'm sure they're aware of the fact that their father has abandoned them. So I feel like she wouldn't be going, where's Daddy? Where's Daddy? Is Daddy gonna come back? No, the fuck he ain't. But I get it though. We're trying to add the whole situation of she's a scared little children and the kids are unshot. That's what we're trying to add here. And as the neighbors continue to try to open up the door, the one neighbor's like, do you need me to get my gun? We got enough problems going on right now. We do not need a gun in this situation, which I can appreciate. The fact that the cute guy is well aware of the fact that there's some craziness going on. We have a dead body in another room. People are freaking out. We don't need to get guns involved. Not yet, anyway. So we then cut to Beth sitting next to Ellie's dead body, and this is where we had that nice moment of, now that I'm here, I can't talk to you anymore. Like, you always here when I needed you. Anytime I needed you, you just picked the phone, and you always had my back, but I could never have your back. And now I can't tell you this. I can't talk to you anymore. And then as that happens, her phone goes off, and it's her voicemail from that Ellie sent her earlier about Jay leaving them, going, hey, Bethy Boo, it's me. And then it starts becoming demonic, and it starts saying, help me, Beth. I'm burning alive here. And then you hear like a little chuckle, and Beth turns around, and then sees a fly just land on Ellie's face. And it's perfectly on her eye, by the way, just doing its thing. And then she blinks and the fly moves, and of course she looks down on her cell phone. It breaks after her scream. She drops the phone, she stands up, and Ellie shoots on up, and she's like, oh my God, Ellie, are you alive? And for some reason all the kids come in because they got the sixth sense that their mom's okay. Everyone comes in, and she's like, oh my God, Mom, she's burning up, so they take her to the bathtub. And I guess it's the same water that Cassie was using to take her little bubble bath earlier. They put her in there, and as soon as they put her in there, her eyes roll into the back of her head, and she starts spazzing out and tweaking out. And as she is freaking out, Bridget's like, I'll go get some ice. And as soon as, I think, it's like a few seconds after Bridget leaves, fucking Ellie pops up onto the ceiling of the shower, puts one hand like over the wall, puts another hand on the other side of the wall, basically propping herself up in the spider-like position. We all have seen it. It was all up and down the trailers. But she's sitting there, and she proceeds to scream, and a demonic scream. And everybody hears it. The neighbors hear it. The kids hear it. Fucking Bridget drops the ice, runs to Cassie. And then as soon as she gets done, she kind of clapped her teeth together, which is that nice sound effect, and was also going on at the same time she was screaming and everybody was freaking out. The water in the tub is boiling. So when she gets done screaming, she falls into this boiling water, right? And then we have this slow, like, oh my God, I'm gonna be honest, this bathtub moment was one of my favorite suspenseful moments because this was such a well built up moment, from the sound effects to the design of this, that the acting was on par. But she slowly puts one hand over the tub, another hand over the tub, and pulls herself up, where you get that nice little shot again we saw in the trailers of her grinning from ear to ear, and Danny's just like, Mom? And of course she says, Mommy's with the maggots now. And proceeds to crawl out the tub. Everyone backs up into the living room. And she comes staggering on in. It's almost like a demon possessing a body for the first time in a long time. So I was trying to figure out how to fucking move. But she comes staggering on in. She's got a piece of mirror in her hand. And as she is staggering through, everyone's slowly backing up, going, Elle, are you all right? You know, Mom, oh my God, you know, all that shenanigans. She looks around, looks at Beth, and quickly sprints at her and starts swinging maniacally with the piece of mirror, and then stabs Beth in the hand. Fucking Bridget stands up and just screams out, Mom, what's wrong with you? As Beth tumbles over the table, and is clutching her hand. She's like, Bridget, stay away from her. And of course, you know, Mom's not looking at Bridget. She's got her back to her, and she's just like, it's not me. It's not me, Bridget. Mom, what's wrong? What's going on? I don't know, but I do know now that I'm free. I'm free from all you titty-sucking parasites. And it turns around, looks at Bridget, and then pounces on Bridget. As that's going on, fucking Beth is taping up her hand, by the way, because she learned something from David in 2013, so she's taping up her hand. And Bridget is being attacked by the tattoo needle because Elzone grabbed the tattoo needle, turned it on, and then goes to get her with the eye, goes to get her in the eye. Doesn't do it because, again, they're kids, so we can't go all out like, you know, we are going to do in a minute. Like, trust me, it gets more chaos in a minute. But she goes to stab her in the eye. Of course, Bridget turns her cheek. So what Ellie ends up doing is taking the tattoo needle, right? Digging it inside of her, like, own blood. Basically coating the needle with her blood. And then stabbing Bridget in the cheek with the tattoo needle, so she's got ink and blood on her face. Beth ends up pulling Ellie off of her, throwing her off. Everyone stands up, backs up, and then she comes out of the shadows and then asks, who wants to rot next? And then she pulls a Negan from The Walking Dead. Eeny, meeny, miny, you. And as she does that, of course, she points at Cass. But at the same time, the neighbors come walking in. They're like, Ellie, are you all right? She turns around. She lunges at the cute guy. Gets on top of him. He staggers on back outside the apartment. Lands in the hallway. He's still standing up, by the way. She's on top of him. She screams and then bites down on his eyeball, literally ripping his eyeball out of its socket. And this show would have been so much cooler if it wasn't CGI. Again, I'm spoiled on the 2013 movie. Sorry, not sorry. But of course, as you know, his eye gets taken out, he screams, she falls down, she starts and throws the eyeball out of her mouth into one of the kids standing there. It goes down in his mouth, and he just chokes to death and dies on it. Like, straight up. He doesn't even get a cool death. He just chokes on a fucking eyeball. So he collapses. The other guy with a bleeding eye, he's collapsed. Beth is standing there looking at Ellie just sitting there. And she's like, oh, hell no. And just shuts the door, proceeds to lock it. And as she ends up doing that, you hear just the banging coming from Ellie on the other side of the door, and she is slamming her head against the door as hard as she fucking can. And of course, Beth is like, "Oh my God, oh hell no!" And starts. For some reason, Ellie's got chains. I don't know where these chains came from, but she's got them just laying by her door. So she starts barricading the door, put the treasure drawers against the door and everything. And this is where we get the really nice peephole shots. I like these peephole shots now. These peephole shots are really, really good. They're an interesting camera perspective and kind of shows you but hides a little bit of the freakiness going on. But after they get done barricading, we look through the peephole and we just see one of the little boys. He's running down the hallway screaming. You see Ellie staggering behind him. Then you hear more screaming, the sounds of limbs being ripped off. And then you see the little boy come flying down the hallway, hit the fucking wall. He has no arms. She done ripped his arms off. He has no arms though. And as she's doing that, the guy who she ate, the cute guy who she ate the eyeball out of, stands up, starts banging on the door, going, please let me in, please let me in. And then Ellie pops up behind him, grabs him by the throat, rips his throat out, which that one was actually not a bad effect. I'm not going to lie. That one was a really, really good effect. I like the throat ripping. I like this whole scene, to be honest, because it's just, you can see where they did a lot of the good practical effects right here. And then after she gets done ripping his throat out, she then goes flying across the room because she got shot with the boomstick because Mr. Floyd has brought in his gun. And as he's checking, we then hear him scream, and then he falls back and then gets dragged off the screen. And then Ellie comes back, and at this point, there is blood everywhere on the peephole, on the walls, on the floors. And Ellie comes up covered in blood herself, looking demonic as shit, and just gets right up to the peephole. And just looking into the peephole, and they're like staring at each other like she knows Beth is on the other side of the peephole. That is a really well done scene. That scene is excellent. Love it. Good shit. After that, Danny and Bridget are talking, and Bridget asks Danny, does Mom look like one of those things from the book you read? Because Mom looks like one of those things from the book you read. Danny, this is your fault. How is this my fault? I told you to put the book back. And they start bickering, arguing left and right. And then Beth, of course, comes in, separates them, and goes, right now, y'all don't need to fight. Y'all never need to fight, especially what's going on. Stop it. Do not be separated at this moment. She hugs them. And, of course, Danny just goes, no. She's right, though. Like, just come take a look at this. And he shows her the book. And as she's looking at the book, and, asking him a question like, where did you find this? What's going on? And he's saying, I used my record player. I read these, listened to these vinyls and all the shenanigans. Bridget is sitting there holding a piece of ice and wet cloth to her cheek for where her mom got it with a tattoo needle. And she's being a little weird. She's not talking to Cass, and she's asking, hey, are you okay? Is your cheek okay? She stands up, doesn't say anything until she starts walking away. She's like, I'm fine. I'm good. Goes to the kitchen and starts investigating her cheekbone. And at the exact same time that's happening, Cassie hears her mother singing this beautiful lullaby. I'm not gonna lie, I love this lullaby she's singing. It's cute. It's beautiful. It sounds almost Renaissance-y, if that makes any sense. I love it though. And as she's hearing the lullaby, she's going closer and closer to investigate. So we're literally intercut between Ellie fucking with Cass, getting her to the door, and Bridget being possessed. So we're going to do a lot of back and forth here. So Bridget, as she's looking at her face, we had this like nice, kind of like a nod reference, yet again, to a moment in The Evil Dead where I want to say it was Cheryl. It could be one of the other girls. She gets stabbed in the ankle with a pencil, and we have that nice stop motion action of the pencil stabbing thing spreading through her leg. I thought, that was a really neat effect for the time. They did something very similar here. And I'm assuming it's another little nod to some of the special effects from back in the day, but you see it spread across her face. And as that's happening, we cut to Danny and Beth looking at the book, and it starts, flipping this pages, doing its little creepy thing, and it flips open to a page of a person with black goo coming out of their face, ears, nose, and mouth. And then as that's happening, Bridget is going through the same thing. She's got black goo coming out of her eyes, out of her nose, out of her mouth. She's trying to drink water and get it down. She just keeps coughing and coughing. And then we cut back to Cass walking towards her mother, and she comes up to the peephole, and again, another nice peephole shot. She sees her mom sitting there, and this is a really nice effect, and I know how they did this effect, because they did the same thing in the Japanese Ringu movie, where it's basically shot backwards, and it gives this creepy effect when she stands up, but basically, the way it's shot is she's standing there, and she sits down, and then shot in reverse, basically. So in the movie, we see her stand up, but she's just like, oh, there you are. Stands up, slowly turns around, and of course, she's like, Mom, what's wrong? I was just sad about me and your dad, but he's here now, and we've made up. We're getting back together. And then she kisses towards nothing, trying to trick Cass. We're happy now. And I'm good now. So why don't you open up the door? And Cass is just like, no, no, Mom, you don't look good. Honey, all you gotta do is open the door so we can be one big happy family. No, Mom. Oh, Cass. And then again, Cass iterates that Mom don't look good. Mom does not look good. And the daughter brother knows Mom does not look good. But yet, she still insists, or she still falls for the mind game. That's the fucked up part. Like, seriously, she knows Mom does not look good, but yet she still falls for the mind games. But as she says, oh, Mom, you don't look good, Ellie's just like, oh, well, nothing but a big old hug and kiss from you that won't fix it. Now, open up now. Come on. Do it for Mom and Dad. She grabs the door lock, unlocks it. Of course, it's all a ploy and a trick. And a hand comes out of nowhere, grabs her, of course, trying to pull her up and down. Beth and Danny come running on in. They come investigate. Oh my God, what's going on? Save her. They close the door. They pull her, out of there. And of course, the first thing out of Cass's mouth is, I thought Mom was better. Bitch, did she look better to you through the peephole? No, she did not. She did not look good to you at all. You even made mention about that, but you thought for that moment. And that's the problem with the writing. The fact that they wrote her stupid for that moment, even though her action, her words are completely opposite for what she just did. She says, Mom don't look good, but then she opens up the door. Again, confusing writing. So after, all of that, she tells Danny, and Cass goes to the bedroom, and she goes to check on Bridget in the kitchen. The kitchen's a mess. The kitchen is deplorable in a mess. There is shit strewn everywhere. There's blood, and the only lighting effect we have, and this is some really nice lighting effect, is from the eye that's still on from when Bridget was checking on her wound. And we see her kind of goblin style on the counter, and we get her back is turned to us, so we don't know what's going on. But she's like, Bridget, are you okay? And then we hear this crunching sound of glass. Now, I like this effect. I thought this was a really done well effect. I enjoyed this effect because it made me, this is one of the few effects in this whole movie that made me feel uncomfortable. And that's saying something because of the fact that for most of this movie, there really wasn't an instant that made me feel uncomfortable. But this scene did. Everything that happened in this scene made me uncomfortable. So she chews on the glass and turned around, looks at Beth, and it's just like, I got to kill the creepy crawlies inside my tummy. And then we slowly see the piece of glass as she swallows it go through her throat all the way down. That was just, oh my God. And then, of course, that nice glass effect of her eating it. Fucking good. And she looks at her again and just says, do you like creepy crawlies in your tummy, Auntie Beth? And then, of course, Beth, not knowing what to do or say, slips on I don't even know what that is. I think a spatula or something. She slips, falls on the ground. Fucking Bridget comes crawling off the counter, kind of crawls up on top of her. And of course, they're fighting at this point. She's like, no, get off me. And she tries to crawl away. And in the midst of all this shenanigans, she pushes a cheese grater to the side, and like Deadpool over here, Bridget catches it and slams it on her leg. Now this scene, it makes a lot of people comfortable. To me, not so much, because the effect is nice, but there's no sound effect. There is no sound effect. So when she... I don't feel it. I don't feel the shiver like I did when she was chewing on the glass. But it's still a really nice effect, and it makes a lot of people uncomfortable as she scrapes it across her leg. Of course, Beth screams, grabs the spatula, smacks her in the face with it, and Bridget just smiles, looks at her, and she grabs a pot, hits her upside the head with the pot. Danny comes running in, and of course, the Deadites aren't going to stay down, so it pops back up, chases Danny into the back bedroom where Cass is at. She sees Cass, decides, fuck Danny, I'm going after Cass, runs towards Cass, and Cass just takes Stephanie, the stick, the doll head on the stick, just turns it up and lets Bridget run smack dab into it. Mouth first. Of course, Beth comes in, sees this. Bridget steps back, grabs it, yeets it out of her mouth, turns around like she's about to do one more attack, and then crumbles to the ground. Blood just everywhere, just pouring out of every orifice she has, just everywhere. Cass is scared, and she's very scarred, and very, very scared. And of course, she's just like, is this a nightmare, Auntie Beth? Yeah, no, it's just like a nightmare. You're gonna be a good mom one day. Well, why is that? You know how to lie to kids. That's a cute moment. Because there's a whole slew of dialogue of Beth trying to calm down Cass, between, saying this is a nightmare, we're going to be okay, we're going to get out of this, I promise you, we're not going to wind up like Mom and Bridget. And then she's like, you're going to be a good mom. Not knowing that, Beth is not a mom yet. Like, she don't know that Beth is pregnant. Again, she's a kid. Beth hasn't sat down and been like, okay, you know what, kiddos, your auntie's pregnant. She hasn't had time to say that. Hell, she didn't even tell her sister. But that's, again, a nice writing moment between her and Beth. And I feel like that's the problem when it comes to Cass's writing, is when they got her by herself, it's not very good. They have her just being a stupid kid that's weird. When she's with, say, Beth, there's something for her to bounce off of, so it's very real and very realistic when it comes to her being a kid. So that's why I'm saying she's a good actress. The little girl's a great actress. As her first debut role, fantastic. But the writing, you could tell when she's alone and when she's got someone to bounce off a scene, it's completely different when it comes to writing. But after that, they go and check on Bridget, and Danny's done wrapped her up in a cover and tied her up, saying, just in case. Beth is like, let me listen to the recording. I don't think that's a good idea. Well, we really don't have much of a choice now, do we? So they explain that, there's no power to the building, so they can't do this. So Beth's guitar technician comes in handy. She's able to craft a little to-go power box to make the turntable work so she could listen to the tape or the vinyl. So as she's listening to the vinyl, we got Danny and Cass sitting out in the living room. She's by herself in Danny's room with headphones on, and fucking Mom's outside the locked apartment. She hears the cat upstairs in the vent, so she decides, I'm gonna use that as my prime opportunity to get into this room. So during the whole recording, you hear, of course, the priest talking about how it's 2 days into him finding this book and uncovering the secrets to it. That this book is evil and it cannot be destroyed, that his fellow priests has fallen, that they've all been taken one at a time. He tried burning them and they just laughed and danced, so he had to dismember them. And we all know the rules of dismemberment. That seems like the surefire way to make sure it does not come back to bite you in the ass. But most people don't want to do dismemberment because they don't want to kill their loved ones. Which, unfortunately, I feel like for these Deadites here from this particular book, they're much more cruel, and it's rather obvious that they're possessed. And they don't play a lot of mean games compared to in 2013, where it plays some mean fucking games. It's like switching back and forth between normal person and a Deadite person. This one, it's just rather obvious. It's the Deadites fucking with them. It's, the Deadites through and through. So, as they're going through the recording and everything, and the kids are following the noise from Mom in the vent, they don't hear Bridget's Deadite form, who's still covered in the blanket, by the way, float up behind them. Now, I like this scene. I thought this was a really good scene. I thought this was done really well, especially the cinematography here. But she's floating, almost looking like an old classic ghost. And as Danny goes to open the door to, tell Beth what's going on, fucking Cass and him turn around and see Bridget just floating there. So Bridget comes flying towards them, and Danny stabs her in the gut. She ain't even fazed by it. She ain't even fazed. She's just standing there, looks down, looks up, grabs, actually doesn't even grab the knife. She just lunges towards Danny some more. Poor Cass has done crawled underneath the sofa next to the pair of scissors she hit earlier. At the meantime, as that's happening, we're still with Beth listening to the tape, and we, as the audience, see Ellie come through the ceiling, crawl up on the wall, come all the way down, and then she sees Ellie in the reflection of the whole situation. So she backs out, drops the headphones, and of course, Ellie puts her finger on the needle being all creepy and shit and starts recording, or not really recording, but opens her mouth so the words could come out of her mouth, and it starts saying, the horror will not be stopped until the innocent is destroyed, until evil be thy name. And Beth handles this very well. She grabs a screwdriver, stabs her in the throat, and I'm gonna be honest, Ellie is not even fazed by it. Ellie does not give a shit. Also, like I said, we're cutting back and forth between her and Danny's fight. So during Danny's fight at this time, fucking Bridget has done taken Danny to the kitchen, thrown him against the counter, stabbed him in the arm after pulling it out of her gut. He, doesn't know what to do, so, he's trying to fight back the best he can. He's failing miserably at this. She then stabs him again in the chest, and this is actually quite painful, especially when you see him get stabbed in the arm. You see it actually go through his arm. That actually was a nice effect, and this is actually one of my favorite shots, is him leaning up against the counter, and she's floating there above him, all contorted, like with the sheet over him, and behind them it's just the flames from the eye, and that is a really cool cinematography shot right there. But the cover ends up falling off, and as it's stabbing him over and over again, he grabs this hairspray, starts it off by spraying the eye, and then turns it on Bridget, setting her on fire. So he ends up crawling to the living room as the body smolders away. And then we cut back to Ellie and her fight with Beth. And like I said, she got stabbed in the neck with a screwdriver, right? She's not even fazed. She then proceeds to throw Beth out the fucking door. She lands next to Danny, and the only thought I had was, it would be so fucking hilarious if she looked at Danny as he was dying and just went, "So, how's your fight? How'd it go?" But she doesn't. Of course, she looks at Danny. He's like, "Oh my God, Danny, are you okay?" And then Ellie comes up behind her, grabs her, and says, "Hang on." Right here. She says the epic, iconic line that we all have heard a million times before: "I'll swallow your soul." Well, she proceeds to reply back with a pair of scissors that Cassie throws at Auntie Beth. Auntie Beth grabs it, stabs her in the face. Not just the face, though. Takes the pair of scissors and stabs it up her nose all the way to her brain. And of course, Ellie's body slumps over. We all know she ain't dead 'cause she's a deadite. And this is all basically after they had a little bit of a confrontation before Cassie throws the scissors. One of the things that she makes a note of is that she smells two souls within Beth, because she knows that Beth is pregnant at this point, because she can hear the little heartbeat going on inside of her tummy and everything. And I think one of the cruelest lines she actually said to Beth before she ended up collapsing over is, "Ellie waits for you in hell and your unborn bastard baby." That's a cruel line, but then it reminded me, it's the same, almost the same exact line that Deadite Mia gave to David. So again, it's more nods and references to other movies from the Evil Dead franchise. And again, it really lacks creativity. I'm not gonna lie. I could get it if he had a few references or a few lines, like "I swallow your soul," "eat this," all that shit, as on occasion. But when literally there are scenes straight up taken from the other movies, it just shows me lack of creativity here. It's like, I appreciate the fact that you enjoy the Evil Dead movies, that you love it, but add your own creative flow to it, man. Be original, be professional, be original. But yeah, she says, about the two souls, about how they wait in hell. Cass tosses her the scissors. She grabs her, stabs her in the nose with it. We all think it's all over. Of course, she's like, "Cass, are you okay? Are you okay?" And of course, actually not even of course, this is one of those weird lines, weird moments coming from the child. She looks at her and just goes, "Are you gonna be a mom? Like, you just watched your mom get stabbed with a fucking pair of scissors in the face, and your only instinct is, are you gonna be a mom?" It's just confusing writing. It's confusing writing for this child. So, of course, again with the confusing writing, she's like, yes, I'm gonna be a mom. We're gonna get out of here, though. It's gonna be okay. So she's grabbing Cass. They go into the hallway, and of course we see all the chaos and the bodies from the hallway attack. They go to room 82 to try to open up the lock, since the other neighbors couldn't get the locks open. And as they're banging on it, we keep coming back to Ellie's body just slumped over. Eventually she wakes up. She pulls out the pair of scissors, and as she does that, it's a really decent effect. It's not one of my favorite effects. Again, you can tell the difference when they did the practical effects and when they did the CGI effects, and this is definitely a CGI effect. But as she pulls out the pair of scissors, you see like a nice glob of blood and snot. I like that though. And because Beth can't get the damn door open, she decides to go for the boomstick that was in the other guy, Mr. Full Days, I think that's how you say his name. His shotgun though. Grabs it from his dead body, and as she's about to shoot the log, you hear, "Hi, Bethy Boo." She turned around, you see Ellie's dead-eye body running at her, so she shoots the leg off. And this is one of the fewer times it tries to do the mean tactic of manipulation right here. Like pure manipulation, not just, "Oh, I don't know what's wrong with me, sweetheart. I don't know what's wrong." No, this is mainly, she tries to turn Cass against Beth, and then Beth against, herself, about questioning whether or not she wants to do this or not. And that's one of the fewer times, and that kind of saddens me to a degree because of the fact that in the 2013 versions and of course some of the older versions, the Deadites really played in that mean aspect of let me fuck with you before I turn you completely evil on your ass. But of course, like I said, Ellie's just like, she's trying to take me away from you, Cass. Don't you want your mom? You know, mom loves you. And Cass finally being smart again is like, you're not my mother. And she looks at Beth and she's just like, are you really going to take my children away from me? Are you really going to do this? And she's just like, you're not my sister. Goes to shoot her head off, but unfortunately, Deadeye Buddy down there wakes up, says, give me back my gun, you thieving, you thieving groupie cunt. Which reminds me, I forgot to make a mention about one of the lines earlier in this movie. It's right after the attack on Cass through the door, and they pull her away from Ellie, and she says, "I thought Mom was okay." When the mom's banging on the door, she's screaming out, "Let me in! Open up! Like you open up your legs, you dirty groupie slut," or something like that. And Beth proceeds to scream out and freak out. She's banging on the door. Just, I'm not a groupie slut, you psycho bitch. I love that line. That is her just being tired of being called a groupie. Like, she hates it. And that's just the moment she snapped on that. But they end up, she ends up missing the headshot though. Shoots the other arm off. She's the headbutt the other one to death. And as that's happening, fucking Danny's Deadeye and Bridget's Deadeye comes out. Then they start crying, and then they start hysterically laughing. And then they're all three laughing. And as they're all three laughing, Beth is just like, fuck this shit, I'm out. Cass heads to the elevator. And you just hear Ellie just go, everyone dies by dawn, Beth. And they all start chanting, dead by dawn, which we all know where that comes from, dead by dawn. So as they get into the elevator and all the other Deadites come up to surround the elevator, they finally get to close, and then it proceeds to pull a Shining and start filling up with blood. And as the elevator is filling up with blood, the book's pages start turning rapidly, and we hit the picture for the abomination, and we see how this abomination starts forming. And it goes back to something Ellie said earlier in the movie about her dream of, it was a perfect day, and all I wanted to do was cut y'all open and crawl inside of y'all so we could be one big happy family. And that's exactly what's going on in this scene. Is everyone's digging their hands into Ellie's body as they're hysterically laughing. And I will admit, the look for the Deadites for this movie is really subtle and very nice. It's kind of like the Deadites from 2013 one. And it gives them a very dead look. So I was excited to see what this abomination was going to look like. Because, we got Ellie over here looking extremely dead. Purple face, yellowish red, piercing eyes, blood everywhere. So you're thinking this abomination is going to look kind of badass, right? Especially with the fact that they're all supposed to be melted together, and it's supposed to be like 4 sets of arms, 5 sets of legs, like 3 or 7 the heads. I don't know. That the picture looked badass, I'm not going to lie. But as the elevator, fills up, we see the abomination come up, and we hear everyone chanting, dead by dawn, dead by dawn. We then proceed to see them trying to stay above the bloody water as they're reaching up for the ceiling, hold on to that one piece of wire that's still hanging around. The abomination pops up from the ceiling and reaches for them, so they kind of swim back a little bit, and then they realize that there's a weight limit on this elevator, and they're a little late on that. So, what do you think fucking happens? It falls. All comes crumbling down. They somehow survive. The elevator lands on the bottom floor. Gates open up. Or the doors kind of open up. Blood pours out. Both Beth and Cass come swimming on out. And everybody's okay. She runs up to Cass. She's like, Cass, are you okay? You wake up, wake up. And of course, Cass' first words is, am I dead? Am I dead? Now, see, that's realistic. That's believable. I could believe that would be my first words if I crashed through an elevator covered in blood and woke up just, am I dead? Holy shit, am I alright? But they end up trying to leave out the garage, so they run towards the car. Magically, the car starts. First time in any horror movie I've seen the car just fucking start. Starts, though. They try to open up the gate. Takes a minute, so they gotta patiently wait. And as soon as it opens, she goes to gun it. Of course, in every horror movie, the car's gonna have a reason not to go, so she runs into a fucking pothole created by the earthquake earlier in the movie. And then for some reason, the stupid bitch don't know what reverse is, so she don't know how to reverse out of the fucking pothole, so she's just trying to floor it over this pothole. And I'm just like, oh my god, you decided to be stupid. You were doing so good for a minute. You got the shotgun in your hand, you got the right idea. Why are you being stupid? But, of course, Cass turns around, sees that the abomination is coming, tells her as much, saying, oh my god, it's coming, it's coming. And, of course, she runs off. This is really nice review, because we're still trying to keep it in the shadows of it smoking, like there's like smoke in the background. And we see the silhouette of it crawling out, and it quickly runs to the car, and then we have this epic moment of, like a cat and mouse game of hide and seek, of them trying to go around the car as quietly as they can as the abomination is basically following their trail. And as they're slowly moving to the open gate, they realize it's about to close, so they gotta make a run for it. So as they're running for it, of course, Beth does G.I. Joe movements, tumbles all around, gets through the gate, and of course Cass, she ain't G.I. Joe, so she gets caught by the abomination, or whatever the hell it's called in this movie, gets yeeted down. Beth freaks out and starts trying to bust down the gate, and as she's doing that, the amalgamation has done put Cass into the back of this vehicle, grabs the yellow chainsaw, and it's just like, mommy just wants your head now, dear. Starts up the chainsaw and is about to decapitate her. Beth comes in. We get this really nice shot of Beth running, but we get to see it like she's wearing a GoPro herself or something. I like this shot. I thought it was nice. And she runs in, and she shoots at the amalgamation, and of course, I have a bit of a problem with this moment here, and let me explain. So at this point in the movie, Beth should be pretty smart. Okay, yes, I just chastised her for the whole car thing. I can forgive her on that. Okay, maybe she's panicking, she's not thinking. That's cool, that's fine, that's alright. But the fact that she's supposed to be the lead character here, and I understand we're trying to have a little bit of slapstick, because that was Ash always having a slapstick moment. My problem is, we didn't have a single one of these slapstick moments of her being quote-unquote Ash until this moment, and it felt like you took an epic line and kind of threw it to the side. Like, you just literally inserted the line so we can all go, oh my god, he said it, she said the line. And it makes no impact to the scene. And even though it's supposed to be the epic line that we all know, especially something Ash says, but she's on top of the wood chipper thing. She shoots at the abomination, and she's looking all badass and shit. And she's just like, "Come get some." And not even 2 fucking seconds later, the bitch slips on nothing and falls. That's just stupid. I'm sorry. Like, you ruined that line for me. Straight up, sorry, not sorry. You ruined that line for me. Like, that's supposed to be the badass line that Last Hero's supposed to say. You know, come get some. You're supposed to have this epic battle. No. You make her look stupid. You make her look stupid. And I don't know, you're trying to go for a slapstick moment? And if that was the case, you could have done it before, like had some slapstick before him with her. Like we had the slapstick with the Deadites with like the eyeball and shit. Yeah. And of course, you know, some of the giggliness and, you know, when they're all laughing before they mutate into the abomination. That's also very Evil Dead reference, especially Dead by Dawn. That's very, you know, Evil Dead 2 reference. But the fact that there's no slapstick with Beth until this moment, And this is the moment you decide to do it to make her look weak, so she needs help from Cass. I have an issue with that because you're supposed to make her this strong, independent woman who's becoming a mother and learn to be a mother in this situation. Shouldn't she save Cass instead of Cass having to save her? Like, I don't know, man. I really don't know. But after she ends up falling, the amalgamation crawls up slowly over to her, grabs her by her leg, turns on the machine, and is trying to pull her up and pull her into the wood chipper so she could get grinded up and shit. And as the machine's turning on, Cass comes out of nowhere, grabs the fucking lever, pulls the lever off, turns it off, and for some reason the amalgamation just lets Beth go, turned around, looks at Cass, doesn't say anything, doesn't do anything. Beth backs up, grabs the chainsaw, it's still going by the way, looks at Cass, tells her to turn the machine back on, again the amalgamation is still not fucking moving, and then proceeds to take the chainsaw, shove it into the mouth of the creature, and then it starts just grinding into it and pushing it into the wood chipper. And as you see Bridget's version of Deadeye go, and then Danny's version of Deadeye go, it's just raining blood everywhere, which I actually like that, by the way. I did like that. You know, that was just a nice, I always like a good wood chipper death, I'm not gonna lie. It's just the blood gushing, and it's almost like simulating the raining of blood. I love that. It's a nice effect. But as this is going on, of course, you know, the last one left is Elle. She's looking at Ellie. She's looking at Beth, and she's like, please, help me, Bethy Boo. Beth then proceeds to say, only my sister gets to call me that, and then chainsaws her head. My problem, the reason why I sighed, is because that is a shitty last line to say. Now, only my sister gets to call me that. Here's why. The Deadeye version of Ellie has called her Bethy Boo at least 4 times before this moment. At least 3 to 4 times. She never said or did anything before that. She freaked out about the groupie thing. Just, I'm not a groupie, you psycho bitch. That one's understandable because, you know, her actual sister has been called her a groupie several times to the point that the neighbors call her groupies. And the fact that the line that it said towards her was, open your legs like you do, you groupie slut. You know, that makes sense of her freaking out. But the fact that she called her Bethy Boo several times throughout this movie and didn't say anything till this moment, and this is her last line to the fucking creature, I find it lame. I find it totally lame. And they really could have said something a lot different. Like, sure, this could have been the moment where you use, come get some, or not even come get some, swallow this. You could have used that. You could have had her say something like on the lines of, you know, you said, I'll swallow your soul, because she already said that earlier in the movie. You know, she could have been just like, Beth, you always are a groupie slut, or something like that. You basically just jab her more about that groupie slut thing. And then she could have just been like, who's the groupie slut now, bitch? Or some bullshit like that. You know, there could have been so many other fucking lines she could have said here that I feel like would have done the movie more justice than, only my sister gets to call me that. Like, bitch, she already called you Bethy Boo like 4 other times in this movie. Get over it. And, of course, for some reason, the head is still there. Now, this again is another nice little final line, a nice little jab. And again, this is a little bit of the slapstick right here. You know, the head's sitting there and she's like, you know, you really do look like Mom. Because she made mention earlier in the movie when they first met and she punched Beth in the face when she tried to scare her. The fact that she didn't look good, that she looked like Mom. So, of course, we had to get the roundabout to that line, but she's like, you know, you really do look like mom, and you're gonna fail miserably just like her. You slutty groupie. And before she could finish that sentence, fucking Beth kicks her head into the grinder, finishes it all up. You know, they turn the machine off. She runs up to the cast and hugs her. And as they're hugging, she goes to walk out. She's chainsaw, grabs it, and then leaves the garage. Now, that sounds epic on paper. I'm not gonna lie, that sounds epic on paper. How the fuck are you gonna explain this one to the police? Straight up. You are walking out, covered in blood, with a child covered in blood, and a fucking chainsaw. You got duct tape around your hand, you got something else around your leg, and there's dead bodies everywhere, and you got a chainsaw. How you gonna explain this one to the popo? Seriously, straight up. These are cool. Like, again, it seems like a cool visual. But the fact of the matter is, there's too many questions that leave me scratching my head going, I don't think she's going to be able to explain this one to the police. But after all that shenanigans, it's been about 24 hours, not even 24 hours, but the night's over, the sun is rising, it's the dawn of a new day. And then we see a woman coming out a hallway. This is a different floor. We're on floor 5. She comes out. She clicks on the elevator. Of course, it's stuck on 13, so she decides to use the stairs. Takes the stairs down. And she's on the phone going, oh my God, the rain, that earthquake knocked out all the power. We didn't get cell service back till just now. And the fact that the thunderstorm kept me up all night, but we're still going to have a fab weekend. Da-da-da-da-da. It's fucking Jessica from the beginning of the movie. And now we're back to the roundabout. So she comes in talking to her friend or her cousin that, you know, she's going to come pick her up, completely oblivious to the blood everywhere, the fucked up car and everything. And so she gets in the car, hangs up the phone, looks in the rearview mirror, goes to investigate and sees everything, right? She takes it all in. She's like, oh my God. She doesn't even decide to call 911. That would have been my first instinct, call 911. But she stands there, sees all this shit. We then hear the strange whispering noises from the Kandarian demons that we know. We see the weird shit happening, and we get the POV shot of it coming at her at different angles, and then she looks at the camera and screams because she's being possessed. Movie over. Movie done. That is how that movie ends. With another nod, because that's how the original Evil Dead ended. So, like I said, I don't know how to feel about this movie. There's been a lot of great lines and moments. Like I said, the I'm not a groupie slut, you psycho bitch, one of my favorite lines in this whole movie. I feel bad that I failed to mention that during that particular scene until later. But, you know, they got good lines like that. They've got good moments like the whole, you know, Bridget eating the glass thing. There's nice moments with the neighbors. The Deadite design looks pretty badass. Granted, it's kind of basic compared to what the Deadites look back in the day. Like, think about a lot of the claymation, especially Henrietta. Look at Henrietta's design. It's very creepy, fat-inducing even. These are very basic though, and I don't have a problem with that, especially the fact that being basic sometimes can pay off to be creepy. And they do a good job with the actual design of the Deadites. And I like some of the mean quirks they do. But it doesn't leave me wondering whether or not they have full control or not. And I don't know if it's because these particular Deadites aren't as cruel as, say, the 2013 Deadites. Because, again, these are two different books now. And this is where we get, like, the setup. There's a third book, so we might get a third movie with the third book. And the Deadites will act somewhat similar but different at the same time. I don't know. I personally like the Deadites and the storytelling a lot more in the 2013 movie. And again, it's nothing personal against Evil Dead Rises. It's just, I feel like it lacks a lot of creativity. I see the love and the nods towards Evil Dead. I appreciate that. But, bro, sometimes there are such thing as too many Easter eggs. There are too many Easter eggs in this. I appreciate what you were trying to do, Lee. But it's just not for me. It's not my cup of tea. I would definitely watch this if I was doing like an Evil Dead marathon. It would be the last movie I would watch. It would probably be like halfway through the night and I'm drunk as shit. Wouldn't it's it's not bad, but it's not good. It's a fun ride because, you know, a lot of the gore effects on some of the death scenes, you know, the writing's like hit or miss and stuff. Like I said, it's a decent movie. It's still a good time. I give it maybe a 6 out of 10. Maybe a high 5. I don't know. Again, I put the 2013 one a little bit higher. I give 2013 at least an 8. I like that. I like 2013. So again, for me, this was like a backwards expectations here. I enjoyed it. It's literally 2013. I hated the first time I watched it, and the second time I loved it. This one, I loved it the first time I watched it. I'm not a big fan of it the second time I watched it. But, you know, this is what happens when you get a different director. You wait a couple of years between sequels. Because it's been, 10 years since Evil Dead, 2013 came out? 10 years. It's been 10 years. I want to say it came out around the exact same time, too. It's either April or August. I can't remember when the 2013 one came out. But it's been 10 years. We got a different director, and I could see where he was going with it. I just rather watch one of the other ones. I'm not going to lie. But I think I rambled on long enough about this movie. So I'm going to go ahead and end this podcast here. I hope everybody who has watched, is watching, will watch. I hope you enjoy. I hope everybody has a fantastic and a wonderful night. As you watch this video here on YouTube or anywhere on Spotify or Anchor. Don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe, and quite possibly a comment down below because you never know what's going to happen here. Trust me, I never know. Next week, we will be ending our Summer Horror Fest with Friday the 13th Part 6 because it's the only Friday the 13th that actually has a actual running campsite going on with children involved and everything. It's got Tommy in it. I actually love it. I have a little soft spot for that movie. It's a great time, and I'm definitely going to have a good time talking about that. And hell, this is definitely going to open up for me to talk more about other Friday the 13th movies I thoroughly enjoy. But I picked this one because you can't end a Summer Horror Fest without at least one Friday the 13th movie. But that is a story for another day. So until then, my friends, y'all take care.